Mediocre Rumble Brothers. Three, two, one.
All right, everybody. I'm Jordan, your host, and welcome to Mediocre Rumble Brothers. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a follow on Rumble if it really helps. It would really help us out. Now, let's jump into today's topic: the best and the worst of Mario video games. Let's get into it. So our first question is, what makes a Mario game one of the best in the series for you?
What would be the best Mario game in the series? Are we going to include spin-offs in this question, or just like what you would consider mainline Mario?
I think spin-off should be fine if it is in fact doing you good.
We could categorize it into two different ones.
Okay,
Best-
so like a
what's your
mainline
best spin-off
Mario.
and your best.
Okay,
Yeah, that'll work.
I think I don't know if anyone would answer that, but I don't count Smash Brothers as like a Mario spin-off. That's like a collab game. So
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, Sunshine, the game I'm playing, which by the way, I am good at this game, but I'm not good at the fucking Switch All-Stars control, so I'm going to look like a fucking tard.
Just not when you're looking.
Yeah, just I'm good when you're not watching me. But Sunshine's always held a special place in my heart because I was telling these guys the story of how like the GameCube was kind of like my first ever like console to myself, because I had handhelds, but that was like my first ever like real console to myself was the GameCube, and the two games that I got on it first were Sunshine and Pikmin, because that was the ones I really wanted for it. And Sunshine definitely has its issues for sure, but it's always held a special place in my heart because I always liked the colors and the saturation and stuff, and it kind of added like a lot to the quote unquote like, I don't know, Mario mythos, I suppose. Added all the different like little like the pinatas people, and like, you know, Isle Delfino is really iconic, and I just like the shine sprites and stuff like that. I don't know if it's my favorite though, because I really like Galaxy too. I guess like Galaxy's gameplay is like way more refined and smooth than playing Sunshine. If I had my nostalgia glasses on, I'd probably say Sunshine, but like overall, it's probably Galaxy. 3D World's also another one that I really, really like. I like a lot of Mario games. I would say, like, overall, it's probably be Galaxy, though. For a mainline one, anyways.
I think like I'm in the same boat with Sunshine. Like, it's such a nostalgic game for me. Just like the GameCube, the music, just running around the island. In the same sense of like Mario 64 is another one that I absolutely love that game because I played the hell out of it as a kid. I think I had it when I got the 64 on like my birthday, so it was just such a huge jump from Super Nintendo to running around as Mario. Like, I loved playing that game, and I loved playing it on All Stars, and then I played it on the DS as well. So that being said, I think maybe Mario 64 might be my favorite of the 3D Mario games, because it's kind of like the one I've kind of played the most. Sunshine, I just remember it being like, I like the flood mechanic. I think that one's really good, but I think for nostalgia points, 64 has to be like my favorite one that I can just go back like blindfolded and play.
It's funny because I tried 64 for the first time when the 3D collection came out, and it's like, I was being real, I don't really like it. I don't even think it's necessarily bad. It's just kind of funny because of everything I've heard about 64 being like, oh, this is like peak Mario, this is peak, and I'm sure at the time it was very impressive. I just have I like just a teensy bit more instruction, and I also don't like half the levels being just like giant like floating platforms where if you accidentally fall off because the fucking little janky camera and controls. Maybe I'm just bad, but I don't know. I just found it a little bit too punishing for just slipping and falling off and have to go through the whole thing again. And like I wasn't given like a, in my mind, enough instruction to know what I had to do for whatever particular level star I was going for, because it's like I got stuck on like the water level, and the mission was like something to do with like the fucking not the eel, I'm talking about 64. The ship that was at the bottom of the lake or whatever, and I
Oh.
swim down to the ship, and I'm like doing everything with everything. Like I'm sitting here being like, game, I don't know what you want from me. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for or anything like that. It was just very confusing. So that was like that for multitudes of levels, not just that one. So I was just like, I'm like, whatever. I don't really understand what I'm doing, so I'll just give it a pass, I guess. I don't know.
You're drowning, but yeah,
I know. I was trying.
Too bad.
As you can tell, the controls for Sunshine are not great. I knew I was drowning, and I was trying to go for the bubbles, but it just wasn't working because the underground fucking shit, the flood in that level's ass.
Fucking bubbles.
they have to go for the coins.
Yeah, you could get the coins that gives you one at a time, but the bubbles like restore your air all the way.
No, then I played. Then when I did that level, I did it very incorrectly. I was like, I'm running out of coins to heal myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, if I pop the purple bubbles, they turn into clean bubbles, and that's what I was trying to get. But this is this is not a good level for Sunshine. Like this eel mission is like one of the worst missions in the game. It's so bad. Anything having to deal with swimming, yeah, it is gross.
I wish I could have something to say about the Sunshine one, but because I've never played it, so I mean, obviously, me seeing you right now playing it, that's is going to be a new thing for me. I've always had a nostalgic feeling for Mario 64, just because of it was the music, it was the designs of the levels and such that they had. It was really cool back then. But I would probably say Galaxy was my best one, because when I first getting myself from playing, I believe I only played Mario 64. I didn't really play any other Mario games after the fact. And then when Wii came out and they pushed that game out, it was just the innovation that they had for the nunchucks and how everything worked, the colors, and everything was super shiny. It was very colorful. The graphics were way more prettier, and it was very different. Like everything we were fighting on these small little planets and such. That was really cool. So it kind of like really stuck out to me, and that's what kind of like made me believe that Galaxy was a really good one for me, rather than just the 64. Because yes, there are some of those levels where you're going through and there's really no help of telling you what you're supposed to do next, and I think that might be what maybe they're trying to do to make it more challenging or some sort, I guess, because of the star method that they were going with. But I do like if it's actually able to give me some hints to know where I'm supposed to do. Maybe that's what they do with the title, but it didn't really help me much, and that's where I would spend a lot of my time just trying to chase for a star, and I can't find it. But Galaxy, it was a lot more easier to get around, and again, I'm more happier with simple play than very, I guess, things that are like more challenging. I'm not really into that shit, so that would be for me anyways.
Yeah, go ahead. So I get Sunshine and Galaxy, but it's like I've been playing Mario specifically since like the SNES, and like I'm not super into the 2D Mario. I do prefer the 3D Mario, but like I love Super Mario Sunshine for the longest time, but when I was younger, it was like really difficult for me to play. So like the first time I actually beat Sunshine was the 3D All Star one, which is the one you're playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the Galaxy is fun, but what I don't like is the fact that the camera is kind of shit when you're going around the planets, because it's like just the gravity is centered on that one ball that you're on. Because I was playing it a little bit earlier, and then just like on like the more pancake-like planets, the camera just like flips around and it gets a little confusing. Especially on boss fights where you have to run around and it's just like the camera's like technically right above you. So the controls get a little confusing.
Yeah, and that's the same with the Mario 64 too. There's a lot of horrible angles that it is painful to deal with.
Like for the time, it was like one of the better cameras actually for retro gaming, but like going back to it after using better cameras, I was just like, ugh, this is gross. I don't like using this.
Yeah, it's like I don't hate Super Mario 64, but it's like I like the idea of like jumping in the panes to go to different worlds, but it's like the game itself is kind of infuriating to play sometimes. But yeah, my favorite Mario is Paper Mario.
Yeah, that I wouldn't even consider that a spin-off because it's almost its own separate franchise, honestly. But if we were bringing that into the picture, fucking Thousand Year Door would be somewhere in my list. But I just consider that like almost a separate franchise. I mean, I guess you consider it a spin-off. I didn't even really think about that, but
I mean,
because I guess I see Paper Mario and Mario as like almost two different characters that just share a lot of similar character traits, I guess.
well, I consider Paper Mario to be like what Toon Link is to the Zelda series, because like that's kind of like where it splits off. Where it's just like Toon Link was like so loved, it was like, well, now you get to have your own games apart from the mainline Zelda games. So it's like Paper Mario is like the same thing.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense to me. Honestly, I didn't have a whole lot of Mario gaming in the 2D era. I do adore Super Mario World again, mostly from a nostalgia factor, but I honestly think the platforming in Super Mario World is some of the tighter ones. I know a lot of people have a lot of love for Mario 3, and I think that's all right. I think I mainly played Mario 3 when they ported it to the Game Boy Advance. But Super Mario World, again, nostalgic for me. It was one of the few games I played with my mother when I was a kid, and I just really like that game, and I can go back and play it. I played it enough where it's like I can do all the secrets and shit just by just not even trying. I just do it like automatically and stuff. I really like Super Mario World, but yeah, Galaxy as an overall experience, I think, is more smoother, more fun.
Yeah,
As far as like spin-offs go, like as what I would consider a traditional spin-off. I mean, I like a lot of the sports titles, specifically Mario Baseball and Mario Tennis for the GameCube. Were big favorites of mine. My favorite Mario Strikers is fun. I actually never owned Strikers. Strikers was fun when I played it at my friend's house. And that one time Jordan was playing it on stream was funny.
Yeah.
But I do really like Strikers. I just never owned it, so I guess I don't really think about it very often. The other one, like obviously everyone loves Mario Kart, and my favorite Mario Kart was Double Dash for the GameCube because everything's in GameCube for me. But I just think Double Dash was the most fun because it had like a really unique co-op experience of one person driving, another person throwing shit. This is really cool.
Yeah, Double Dash is a really fun game.
I played that very little, and so I was like, I don't have much experience with that one.
I think I played.
I played a lot of the Mario Kart on the Wii and the Mario Kart on the DS too, but Double Dash has always been my favorite.
Yeah, I don't understand why they don't like remake that one specifically, since it's so unique to the actual Mario Kart series.
That's the thing, right? It does feel unique in the sense that they never did that gimmick before, right? So like, it would be interesting for them to remake it, but then again, why remake it when you can just fucking make fucking what was it, Mario Kart 8 again? You know?
Yeah, I mean,
if people keep buying it.
If we do get the GameCube emulator for the Switch, then maybe we can get Double Dash on there.
That'd be nice. I still don't know like how the fuck if that's going to be a Switch 2 exclusive thing. How that's justified, but
so. Yeah. Are we going with spin-offs then as like another suggested like best?
Yeah, what we said at the beginning of this conversation, we were asking which one. So
I mean, I wouldn't count Paper Mario as spin-off of like it's still. I mean, the only aspect that makes it different is the fact that it's like an RPG type, but that's kind of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say for me, like if I was going to go a spin-off series, and it's crazy because there's so many out there and it's really kind of hard to choose, but because I've played Mario Kart a lot, and Mario Party, mainly the older ones are more fun than like the newer rules, but probably Mario RPG, which is awesome because they did that remake, and I kind of wasn't expecting that, but it does make me a little sad that Gino never made it into Smash Brothers because like I really liked him as a character in that game, and I was just like, why hasn't anybody talked about this character? I know that there was like a kind of a push for people to get him on there, him and Mallow, but Mario RPG is like a really good spinoff for me. And then I guess honorable mention, something like of more recent IP is that Mario Rabbids Kingdoms game that plays like XCOM. It's very surprisingly really fun.
I remember to borrow that from you because I actually did really want to try it.
I've played both of them and they are unique. The second one does something kind of silly where they have like cosmetic weapons, and I automatically don't care because they don't boost my stuff. So like anything that you do to gain extra items in that game is just purely cosmetic, but it's a single player game, so it doesn't make any sense because nobody but me is going to see it. And I pre-ordered it, so I got like a pre-order bonus skins, and I was like, well, I'm just going to use those and just play the whole game because there is no point in getting anything else considering that they do nothing. Whereas in the original game, the items did change and they did have better stats. So I was excited about getting gear in the first one. And the way that they handle, I think the skills is better in the second game because they kind of had to balance it out with like because they added Rosalina and the stars and stuff. But those games are totally worth playing. If you like strategy based, like tactical RPGs, I guess those games are super fun, and they have that like Nintendo fun factor tied to them where
remember those games aren't Nintendo.
Yeah.
They're Ubisoft games.
It's just like they're simplified versions of those games that I enjoyed those types of games over the years, and like Vandal Hearts, Disgaea, stuff like that. But to play like a Mario version of it, I was like really surprised how much I enjoyed it. But I would put Mario RPG on top of that because I do love turn-based RPGs, and to play that Mario one as a kid and with my dad, and then they give me a remake and I get to play it like all these years later, and it's just like literally the exact same game basically outside of the team attacks that they added, which was really cool. It's nice to see a remake like be completely faithful to the original and add like things that don't ruin it. It's just like, oh, this is really cool.
I hate that has to be something that's like look forward to. Like, God,
Yeah.
I hope this doesn't suck ass and shit all over the thing I like.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the uniqueness of Paper Mario is like one of the things that I really like about it. It was like, besides like the obvious
God damn
like, just falling into your death again.
These levels are the hardest ones in the game. And like I said, I'm not this classic controller and the button configure. I'm much better with a GameCube controller at this game with the platforming. The buttons are all weird, so.
Yep. But like besides the turn-based aspect of Paper Mario, ignoring the Super Paper Mario, which doesn't have turn-based, so it's like it's much more a platformer. But like besides the turn-based, like depending on which game you're playing, they're either very aware that they live in like a very paper world and that's like used to their advantage, or it's like completely ignored and mostly for aesthetics reasons. But as you get further into the series, they become more aware and use the idea that they're all paper and start using like more like office supply related things to their advantage. Like in Sticker Star, you use stickers, but no one really talks about that game because it sucks ass. In Origami King, it was really unique. It was like probably the most unique that it's been for a very long while, besides the turn-based thing, where the enemies like are really silly, where it's just like literally just office supplies, like a case of coloring pencils, a stapler, and then like a guy made of rubber bands. But like the way that they attack and they use their abilities in combat is just like actually kind of intimidating because it's like it hurts really hard, and it's just like they use what a regular inanimate object and like try to make it intimidating and like a really tough boss to beat. It was just a really cool thing. But also like the way they design everything in a paper aspect in the background is just like really cool, and all the characters are very very unique and have like their very own personality. Especially since like a lot of the characters that you end up in your party are like classic enemies that you just kill in older games.
And then mine, I guess I would be just I don't know. I since I had a lot of time that I'd done in the past as a kid, mine would probably be, if it was in fact that I was young again, having all the friends and such and doing everything, I really did enjoy Mario Party. It was a really good thing that they had going for it at the time. Like it was different. So it was like, it was mini games. Everybody had to get together, sit down, and have like a video game party night. You know, everybody just having fun, collecting the most stars. Made a lot of shit funny. It was just random things.
Friendships ended.
The microphone mini game.
God damn, that was guy, because I couldn't remember his fucking name was, so I just
He
kept
didn't
saying
know it was called Thwomp.
yes. I just kept going. The guy, the rock dude, and it just like couldn't guess like the guy, you know. And I just kept fucking getting mad at it because it wasn't recognizing it. But it was
play a lot of Mario Party as kids.
so much, and then getting yelled at from some random guy that was over at your house for no fucking reason because he was just super into it. He's like, "You fucking suck." I'm like, "Dude, I'm 12." You know, just like,
dude, I'm 12.
yeah, it's like it was just shit like that. It was a very simple game, but it was easy to pick up and go, and everybody would either have their gripes or they would just be triumphant, and everybody would just be like, "Damn it, you know, next round, let's go," you know. So it had things that were challenging from everybody, even though it was very simple buttons. But I had gotten a lot of fun out of that thing. I don't know what they are like now, but for me, Mario Party was the way to go. So, second question: which Mario game do you think has been the most innovative, and why?
Ooh.
Oh my god.
I mean, they all kind of try something new. I kind of want to say Odyssey for this, just because of like the taking control of all the different like enemies and to solve, like it gives you so many different ways to solve puzzles, but at the same time, it's just kind of like,
God damn it.
I don't know if that would be the most innovative Mario game.
Isn't Mario Wonder like a rhythm game technically? A rhythm
No, it
platformer?
just has fun background stuff involving like the
very
beat to the
loud
music and stuff.
horn flash. I don't know. Maybe one of the like Paper Mario games would probably be the most innovative. I don't know which Paper Mario to choose on that, because I liked playing Thousand Year Door, but
Have you played
would we
Origami
use
King?
well, I was going to say, like, do we use innovative in the same way that we would say a positive thing, or are you just saying overall that's like the most different or tried something the most different? 'Cause
Once again, it's almost a
Origami
hard
King-
question whether we're going to be talking about a spin-off or we're talking about like mainline Mario, because again, it's like two different
Yeah.
answers to the questions, because it's like it's hard to compare what's innovative for an RPG, what's innovative for a platformer, you know.
Yeah, I mean Odyssey, I guess, in a sense of like the way that the mainline 3D platformers go off of. But I would say, I for nostalgia, if I want to put on those glasses, I would go with Sunshine, because you have Flood, and it kind of introduced the like something about cleaning up the island, like cleaning up the mess, like just felt really fun. It's in probably in that same sense of like the like pressure washing simulator games and stuff like that, where it's just running around and spraying the ooze to make it go away. Just was like therapeutic in a way. Like I just enjoy like going from Mario 64 to a game where you have this jetpack in a sense that like does all this different shit. I was like, I think that one I would have to lean on the most outside of like Odyssey, because I mean Odyssey is just kind of taking everything you've done and all the other Mario games and giving it to you, I guess.
I think Galaxy, actually, because it's subtle in its innovation, because of how I think how the physics work with like all the gravity nonsense you can do, and like the different physics you get with like the power-ups and whatnot, I think is a really fun thing that Galaxy does. Like I say, it's not as in your face innovative as the transforming into different creatures and start taking over different creatures' bodies and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think it drastically increases like Mario's main thing, which is platforming, jumping around, fun movement, and you combine that with fun gravity physics and other really fun power-ups that all interact with it in different ways. I just think is interesting.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say Odyssey, because like I was thinking of like I was thinking in the idea of innovation through like the main mechanic, which is platforming. Because Mario's obviously a platformer, but I was gonna say Odyssey because, like, even though you can play as Mario and a bunch of other things that you can't take control of, it just becomes more than a platformer, because you can just get through levels as Mario, just doing his regular jumping and smashing, or you can take over other characters that platform in different ways, or just crash through other things. But it depends on how well can you utilize whatever it is you're taking control of. And it's because like obviously you can take control of a T-Rex, so like obviously you're not going to be jumping very high on a T-Rex. So it's like, well, now you got to figure out what are you going to use a T-Rex in this small ass level.
I think what I just thought about is why I don't really think, and not that Odyssey again. I like Odyssey like well enough. I don't think it's a bad game. I played the whole thing through. I didn't get like every single moon or whatever, but because I feel like taking over the creatures is just a substitute for power-ups. So, like, I don't think there's anything that you could do. Like, let's just, take the T-Rex, for example. Yeah, it's cool to transform into, like, this weird, realistic-looking T-Rex in a Mario game. And I love T-Rexes, but it's like, what you can do with that thing isn't any different than getting the Mega Mushroom in New Super Mario Brothers. You just get really big and smash stuff. So it's like, I think that's why I don't really consider it too innovative, because the Cappy taking shit over is just replacing power-ups, right? So it's like that's it. Whereas like Galaxy in my mind is a unique game because not every Mario game has those sorts of gravity physics to play around with its platforming and movement.
For me, I would, if I'm going to look at this for innovation wise, I mean, I think Mario 64 might have been that one for me, because thinking about going from very small Super Nintendo graphics to now a 3D dimensional impact, that was a huge eye-opener for how they're moving forward with the graphics design and such, and being for Nintendo, making a huge leap the way it did. And the fact that everything, being side-scroller to now three-dimensional, going through paintings, going and doing all these separate missions and such, trying to make your way through extra levels to get to Bowser, and then having these unique boss battles within each individual level, which they would have their own kind of thing going for them, which for me was really cool to see. There was a lot of things around that was different and unique about it, where they had a whole lot more composer with their music and such that was involved with it. I know everything was kind of simplistic with the story, but it was just a huge jump and leap from going from side scrollers to now three-dimensional view, and how everything was played out uniquely, and how Mario was able to go through, and each level would be different to some extent, not exactly that much difference, but you're going through a painting with snow, and now you're in a snow level. You're going into one place that's shows a evil looking fire face, and now you're in a lava level. So it's like everything was different based on what you did, and going through that was a huge leap for me in visuals and how they handled everything.
Yeah, you know what? You think you've actually just convinced me, because I didn't really, since I didn't grow up with Super Mario 64, quite frankly, I kind of forget it not only revolutionized Mario, but it kind of revolutionized 3D platformers as a whole. Like, it was the pioneer for that entire thing, where every other game followed suit and tried to do what Mario did, but not totally what Mario did, to try and do their own thing. But they definitely were leading the way for how platforming worked in 3D. So if we're talking about true innovation, I actually agree with you. That is probably Mario 64 is probably the really true innovator, because not only does it innovate, the word of the day, does it innovate fucking Mario, it innovated the entire platforming genre, moving into the 3D as a whole. So I agree with you. It probably is Mario 64.
Mario 64 over Bubsy 3D.
The funny thing is that, funny story, the people who made Bubsy 3D, they were actually making that game before Mario 64 was announced, and they were having a horrible time with it, trying to get this shit to work in 3D. Like, they did not know what they were not know what they were doing, but they're not as savants at this as Nintendo is, right? And they were like, all right, we're going to be the first 3D platformer, though, so we're going to do a good job, but we can afford to fuck up here and there. And then basically, Nintendo showed off Super Mario 64, and they kind of looked at each other like, oh, we are so fucked. Like, it's over. There's no coming back from this. Another funny anecdote, the people who made fucking Bubsy games hated that character so much, apparently, that if you went into their offices when they were like a couple of games down the line, I think specifically during Bubsy 3D, They had like Bubsy plushies like hanging from nooses from like ceiling fans in the office.
Oh my god!
I thought it was really funny. I just hated the characters so much.
Alright, good thing it has 9 lives.
Oh, he's just gonna
Yeah, right.
die a lot more times. Anyways, number 3. Are there any Mario games that you believe didn't get the recognition that they deserved?
Definitely Origami King.
I would agree with you because I've heard nothing about that.
Yeah, Origami King did like kind of come and go very fast. But
I was fucking surprised about it.
Again, I would say the Mario and Rabbids like Kingdoms games, those just kind of flew under every radar. I feel like I've seen 0 people discuss them. They kind of just showed up. And then I don't know if it was just like the turnoff of the Rabbids because they're kind of like Ubisoft's minions, basically. I don't really give a shit about them either. I kind of just bought it on a random purchase, and I just enjoyed that game thoroughly. So like it's strange to me that it's not as popular as I think it should be, but yeah, definitely overlooked.
I mean, I definitely wrote it off for that reason because I think the Rabbids are fucking annoying. So and when you tell me it's good, I have thought about getting it a few times because it's an Ubisoft product. They control when it's on sale, and because Ubisoft is so desperate for money, it's on sale like all the fucking time. So one of these days, I'll probably pick it up. Honestly, I feel like I only played a lot of mainstream Mario games. I can't really think of one that I felt like I could point at and say this didn't get enough appreciation. Maybe Super Mario Strikers for the baseball one. I know some people played it, but it like Edwin, I don't ever hear anyone talking about it. Even though I don't fucking like baseball, it's a pretty good Mario spin-off sports game, but I just never hear anyone say anything about it. Maybe it's Strikers too. Strikers just goes under the radar, I suppose, but it's more like a cult classic thing. I'd have to give that one a good think because I feel like I only play really popular Marios just by happenstance. Because I'm not like a Mario nerd or anything. I just see Mario and like, oh, I want to play Mario. It's like I have to see something Mario plus whatever what's the gimmick this time sort of thing. Is that interesting to me? So
yeah, I said Origami King. It was like, well, when I got it, I was skeptical. It's like because I was skeptical about actually buying it, but it's like I think at the time I was starved for a new Paper Mario, and my last Paper Mario game that I played was Sticker Star. I was like, and that is just that's just universally hated, and I get it. So it's like
talk about a game that rightfully deserved the hate.
Yeah, it was like it has recognition, but it's not good.
Yeah,
but Origami King is in the same thing as Super Paper Mario, where it's like it's technically it is turn based, but not in the same fashion as the other ones. So it is different. Than like the more popular Paper Marios, but it's just like the world building is just so like pretty to look at, especially in the Autumn Town like dojo area. That was probably my favorite because I'm just really like the fall season, and that's just like what all that level was. But beside the combat, which is just like basically half puzzle, half turn based. It's not exactly super hard until you get to the fucking bosses, which is just like, okay, this is like where the difficulty and this battle mechanic takes place, because it's a pretty confusing battle system when it comes to the bosses, because they all do something very different despite being like literally inanimate objects, just animated. You do have like very specific power-ups that do have really nice animations and are just like very very nice to like use it in battle.
What did you think about Color Splash, by the way? Sorry to derail your thoughts, but I just speaking of Paper Mario games, I never hear anyone talk about.
Well, Color Splash, so like while I do have it, I have yet to set up my Wii U to actually play it, but Color Splash was the only Paper Mario game that I have yet to play. So, but I do hear like mixed reviews for it, but it's like I still want to see for myself because I just love Paper Mario that much. So maybe some point in the future. Well, maybe I might play it sooner than later because I don't have access anymore to Lies of P, so that might just be my replacement. But besides the combat in Origami King, there's a lot to explore and to just like mess around in the actual overworld. So that's like where most of the gameplay will take place, outside of battle, because it's like I looking back, I realized like I spent more time in the overworld than I did in battle, because most of the battles and the common enemies like usually take a turn or two, depending on how well uh, you use the field to your advantage to kill as many enemies in one turn, or just pay like money to the toads to help you out. Like that's like the one side quest that you do in the entire game is just like, instead of finding like secrets, you just find like a bunch of toads, and the more you collect, the stronger you can pay them money in battle to help you out and give you some kind of boost, or to just solve the whatever puzzle problem you're having with the battlefield at the time. So it's just a very neat game, and it's just like, but because how much time you spent in the overworld, they made it just like very fun to like look around and look at small details for like abilities for more coins, or just like secret little things here and there. There is like a room where you find like paper maches of like other Nintendo characters, and then you put it on, and like everyone has a comment to say about what head you're wearing. So I really enjoyed it.
I guess for me, I'm not. I'm the kind of same. I'm on the same boat as Udon. I'm not really like heavily invested in the Mario. I've played them for sure, but I've not really like been checking like when's the next new Mario coming out. I gotta have it. So I'm never really paying attention to that stuff. I would only assume that from my experience, when I'm like seeing commercials and everything, always trying to one up everybody with their games, like, hey, we got this new Mario coming out, come get it. Whether it be the strikers, the tennis, or it be any of this, the regular Super Mario, the regular Mario, like the N64. I remember that was on TV. The Odyssey, I remember that was on TV. But I never saw anything in regard to the Paper Mario series, and I actually do enjoy the Paper Mario's. Like the first one I'm playing, for 64, I enjoyed that one quite a bit, but I never heard anything about it except for when Corey was playing it. Like he would, I remember he was playing it on the Wii and such. That's the only way I really knew about it. So I think Paper Mario is the one, and for my book, that just didn't get much recognition for what they were doing. I just saw it like if you knew a guy and they played it, that was basically the only way you were going to know that existed. So for question number 4, what elements did you think are essential for a Mario game to be successful?
Well, it has to have Mario.
Yeah, the standard number.
And
controls, really. I mean, like they kind of nail their controls down before they get anything else going. I believe that if it's fun to play as Mario, and this goes across like game development in general, if it's fun to play the character in an empty space, then you're on the right track. And so like just jumping around with Mario and not doing anything, like even in Mario 64 when you're outside the castle, just flipping and jumping around, and you're not even like doing much, it's still fun as hell to play. So I think it needs to have like really tight controls, and I guess the way that all the Mario games kind of work is that there's some sort of gimmick that they staple to the game, where it's like here's FLUDD, or like here's the stars and gravity, or here's throw your hat mechanic, or now you're paper. Like, so they kind of have a theme, but they really lean into the theme, even if it's not like the best. But they do it across all of their Nintendo games in general, whether it's Kirby Yarn or like the clay version, or what is it, Yoshi's Story or something, or
Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah, like they lean into their themes so hard, and that I think really amps up the games as well. So control scheme and theme.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I won't reiterate too much, but yeah, definitely like Nintendo's thing is like tight controls. Like, period. It has to feel good to play, and they definitely need like some sort of, not necessarily gimmick, but like just they need a reason to make a new Mario game. It's like they don't make a new Mario game just because they want to make a Mario game. They thought of like something new to do, with whether it be FLUDD or the gravity mechanics or the transition to 3D, stuff like that. They might have just made Mario games before between like 1, 2, 3 and World, but they had slightly different aesthetics. They had slightly, they kept adding power ups like the Tanuki suit and the cape and shit like that. But I think they keep stretching for more and more reasons to like make like quote unquote mainline Mario game. And that's if we're talking mainline. We're talking like spin-offs, be it like sports or Mario Kart. I think all those need is just like pretty much include all the Mario characters. Has to look colorful, and I have to feel like I'm playing Mario, which again means I has to like play well. I think, I guess the universal like play well controls, and I hate that I have to describe it as like, what game don't you want to play well, but that's just been like a staple of Nintendo, is just the polish of their games. So if it's a Mario game, I expect not to have to struggle with the controls, unlike Sunshine. But yeah, I mean, I can't really add that much to it. I think Corey hit the nail on the head for the most part.
I was gonna say level design, because with every single Mario game that comes out, they always like innovate for like a new mechanic to introduce for Mario to use, like the zero gravity for Galaxy, for FLUDD, for Sunshine. So it's like always different like every time. So it's just like it's like the problem that Sonic has failed to do almost every single time. Almost, not all the time. But it's just like the problem is that like Mario has like so many abilities across the entire series, both in regular Mario games and in Paper Mario, that the game is just like perfectly designed to just take full advantage of whatever new thing he can do, or what multiple things he can do with like his power-ups. But the problem is that with Sonic, his main gimmick is speed, but they fail to make like decent levels to like actually make that a fun mechanic overall. So like for Sonic Heroes, that's probably the most unique that they've actually made it, where they had like a variety of abilities, which even though it's just like it's just like multiple characters instead of just Sonic, but the levels were designed to give you the option of which route do you want to take, depending on which character you prefer to use. But that's like one of the very few times that they get it right. While Mario, with like multiple innovations that no one would really even consider being in Mario, they use it to their full advantage with their own level design, which is just like, even though I'm not a super big Mario fan, I'm still like very interested in what the new Mario game would have.
Pretty much. Because like when I bought Odyssey, I bought it when it was on one of the rare times they put it on sale, just because I'm like, oh, it's finally on sale. I'll finally, give it a whirl. I feel like Sunshine was like the first. Like, no, I was pretty excited for Galaxy as well, but ever since then, I'm just like, only if the Mario game, whatever the new gimmick is, appeals to me is what I'm going for. So
I kind of felt like the Odyssey just was kind of like a little bit of an upgrade for 64, just because it was just a roaming around world thing, but obviously you could take control of enemies or any sort of people around you, like the T-Rex and such. I agree with everyone's choices, what they had picked. I just have a little thing to add to it as well that I've kind of been thinking about for some time, is that with most games that are being created, they usually, when they have a sequel, it's a very minor update or upgrade that they make, whether they add a new character or they add a new move, a new villain, something that's just, it's very easy to deal with. With Mario, they try to go to the next level of what can we do to make this super unique from the last game. And that is, like, for me, kind of like the Achilles heel almost, because it's just, people are now always looking for the next big thing for the game, and when you can't push through and give them what they want, then it tends to make it a little bit less, I guess, interesting. I don't think that Mario is going to run itself into the ground anytime soon. It's a huge, it's the mascot, it's the icon for Nintendo. So highly doubt that that's going to be a problem. But for me, when I saw Odyssey, I was not too thrilled about it. Just, again, it was like huge changes that was made that they did with 64, Galaxy, they got this Paper Mario, like everything was completely different from each other. And then I just kind of felt that the Odyssey was a little bit better than the 64, but not that much, because it was just, again, like, what the hell else can we do that makes this game so much better than the other? And it makes it really challenging, because I mean, right now, already the game itself is so different. You know, you're going in pipes, you're fighting these weird looking monsters, you're saving the Princess Peach, you're fighting this giant dragon named Bowser, you're fighting ghosts. It's like this. It's just like somebody was on drugs when they made this game. So like, how do you make it better is just like a huge ass challenge, which I'm pretty sure is like when everybody's done with that game and they're like, all right, let's make the next one. Everybody's just fucking stressing. Like, I don't fucking know what we can do. We're gonna have to get some more shrooms. You know, how the fuck we gonna do this? Because there's no way that the normal mind would be like, that sounds like a great idea. Like, yeah, you go into you make it into a fucking pipe and you do all this weird shit and you're a plumber. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So it's like, it's going to take a lot of thought to make them stand out than the other game. That's all I'm saying. It's great. I do like where they're going. It's just they make it so much more harder than the other people that are making games of these other, whether it be some other game that's not affiliated with Mario. They have a better chance of getting themselves started to keep going, as these people are like, we make something big or we don't, and then you just choose to like it because you're a Mario fan. So that's yeah.
I think that's I agree with what you said, but I think that's like Mario's like the strongest point of Mario is how simplistic like the entirety of Mario is. So it's like they can literally just like put anything in Mario and make it make sense, because
Right.
like there's like barely nothing to begin with. So it's like whatever you put in was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. But it's like because there's not really anything to go off. There's like no stream of ideas that were like related to each other. Because if you like put I don't know, like the first thing that comes to mind is like if you put like Ratchet and Clank or something and you take away the guns and then just add something else, it's like you can't do that, because like the crazy wacky guns are like the point of Ratchet and Clank. You can't just take them away and expect people to like it.
Right.
While Mario's just like, it's a guy who jumps, makes something out of it. I was like, yeah, that's easy. There's like nothing to go off of previously.
Yeah.
So just add anything.
But the thing about it is like what you were talking about with the level design. That's the one I really do agree with. It's just, again, it's just there's so much challenges that are in the way of how you're playing it. Because if you take a look at Galaxy and then you take a look at 64, like they're different. They're not the same thing. They may have some unique changes here and there, but there's a lot of changes in how the character operates. And I know that they make that a huge move on how you're going from little planets, you're falling off cliffs, but there's a whole huge uniqueness to each one of them that they do, and I love that about it. But at the same time, like I said, it makes it really difficult when you're just trying to find out what the hell the next big thing that's going to come out to be. Because yes, that last one that you did, the Brothership one, that was interesting to me, that they made like a whole new race of these outlet looking things, to make of this new story. And I'm just like, man, I don't know if I would ever thought of something like that. So it's like, it takes a lot of thought and creativity to make these things come to life. And I like it, but if you don't have that creativity, I just think that's just going to make your head just spin, just constantly trying to think of something next to do. Number 4, what elements did you think are essential for oh, we already did that. Can you share an experience where a Mario game exceeded or didn't meet your expectations?
Well, I guess I'll piggyback on what you were saying about Odyssey. And before anyone jumps down my throat, I don't think Odyssey's bad by any means. I just, compared to how I felt playing Galaxy and Sunshine, despite its wonky physics fucking throwing me into the goddamn abyss, the stop.
Panic jumping.
Yep. Fuck, train of thought. Yeah, so I liked Odyssey, but it's like, I don't know. God, fucking, I'm gonna kill myself. I should have been playing Galaxy. I'm just showing myself eating. I can do all the other levels just fine. As soon as I get to these secret levels, I'm sucking dick because this fucking controller. Yeah, you know what? Fucking, I'm in the controller in the GameCube. I'd still have a little bit of trouble doing these. I think it was the weird quantity. I think the thing about Odyssey I didn't like was the weird quantity of the moons, because there's like hundreds of fucking moons in those games, whereas like in Sunshine and in Galaxy and even in the 64, it's like you go into a level, you get one of those, and then you're done, and then you have to get out, reset, do a different part of the level with a different objective. Whereas like the moons, you're dumped into a world where you're dumped into a level, and there's like hundreds of moons scattered around for like the most minute of things. It's like, oh, you put the seed in the jar and stared at it for 10 minutes. Here's a moon. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I agree
It's
with
just
that.
it's just weird stuff like that. To save my sanity, I'm going to pause their recording and I'm going to the fucking goddamn Galaxy. But I like Sunshine, he says with a strange smile on his face. But I just didn't like the quantity. It just felt like it felt like I don't know, not necessarily pandering, but it just like every 2 seconds for doing the most benign thing, I got a moon. I didn't feel like a huge sense of accomplishment for getting a moon unless I got through the entire level, I guess. And I know the reason why they did that was because I think they said the reason why they put so many moons in the game was because the Nintendo Switch is portable. They were like, yeah, if you're on the subway or something heading to work, you can whip out the Switch and grab a couple moons right quick. And I appreciate that kind of thought. I don't know. I just felt like everything I did didn't have as much gravitas, or I didn't feel as accomplished every time I got a moon as I did every time I got a shine or a star or whatever. So I think that was my biggest hang about the game. The game looked great, and some of those moons definitely were challenging. But then for every one challenging moon you had just a handful that was like, you hit the sign. It's like you did a triple jump. Here's a moon. It's like you took a piss. Here's a moon. I'm like, okay, cool, okay. Yeah, that's probably. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm never really like disappointed in Mario games. Not really. I mean, there'll be some bad parts like Sunshine's horrible physics, or even Brothership's meandering plot line halfway through the game is kind of annoying. But like I've never really played a Mario game and I was like, this sucks. I always find something to like about it,
Yes, it's just like games that are hard to hate.
Yeah, because they are polished. Even the worst ones have something about it you can appreciate, and they have been worked on to the point where it's not even like typically anything like the game isn't broken. The game is just there's something about the main gameplay loop like you don't agree with or something like that. So
I think the only instance I've ever had of like having expectations like totally shot down is like renting Mario is Missing as a kid. Because yeah, like I didn't know. I was just at the whatever video store picking a Mario game off the shelf. I was like, oh, this one. I'm like 10. We don't have internet to see what these games even are. And then it's like, oh, this is not the jumping Happy Mario game that I thought it was going to be. This is some dumb, like stupid ass game. And I think there's 2 games like that, Mario Missing, and then there's like the Mario in Time or something like that, where it's just kind of like a history game. But that was just as a kid choosing this game because Mario's on the front of it, and that is exactly why they used Mario for those. So it was just kind of like, damn it, that sucks.
Well, I mean, they had like Mario Paint. They had Mario. Yeah. Mario was like
that was mine.
Wario's Forest that Game Freak made actually, and that was some Mario game they did because they were trying to sell the fucking SNES mouse add-on.
Yeah,
they were way more fast and loose with Mario titles like back in the day. Honestly, it's like if they needed to sell something, slap Mario on that shit, and it'll sell something.
Yeah, I think another one, and it was just kind of disappointing for me to play, was when I got Yoshi Safari, which was the Super Scope game with Mario riding on Yoshi's back, and it's kind of like a light gun game. I mean, maybe looking back at it now, it's probably like more fun to play. But when I was a kid and I was like, oh, this is like an on rail. I don't know. I just wasn't into it. Like it just wasn't fun to me. I was hoping for something a little different. So, yeah, that's the only times though that I've ever been like, oh, damn it, this Mario game isn't what I thought, because it literally was like there was no way for me to know because I couldn't just like Google it,
Yeah.
Mine was the only one. Was the paint one. It was I was expecting because I believe I must have got it.
You were being serious. I thought you were making a joke.
No, I'm being fucking real. I can't remember exactly if I think I might have got it used or something like that. I can't recall the whole full story because this is way back then. But I just recall that it was like putting it in, put the cartridge in the machine. Let's go to town and play it. And then it asked for a mouse, and I was like, I don't have one. I have the controller, and I thought it was going to be something fun that obviously a kid would want to enjoy and playing compared to the others that you played before, like the Mario 1, 2, and 3, and then you're playing Super Mario World and all that stuff. Everything's just like use the controller, and then this one was use a mouse, and you're supposed to have fun with the mouse, and I didn't even have a computer.
I thought they bundled that with the SNES mouse.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that I think I must have gotten it used where they didn't have it bundled together, so I just bought the game itself, and so I ended up having a game that I couldn't even play as a kid. It just sat there because it was asking for the controller, and I didn't have the mouse. So that's the only thing that I think that I was let down by, because again, I haven't played a lot of Mario games, and usually the ones I have touched were okay or good, so I really have not much to complain about besides that one.
And that was more like you just kind of got screwed over from the
right
fact that you got it used.
Yeah, and again, that's my problem, right? That I should have had somebody say, you're playing Mario Paint. It's probably going to say it needs that. If I would have got it brand new, it probably would have provided me the mouse. So because I went cheap, that was my fault.
Mm-hmm. It was my fault for being a child with no money.
Yeah.
It's like Mario game that exceeded my expectation. I was like, I'm not gonna repeat Origami King, but like another one that was like, it just came out of the unknown after my sister bought it. Like I don't think either of us like knew like about this series. It was the Mario and Luigi series. Or I think the one that she got and I tried was Bowser's Inside Story. It was just like it was just a really neat game. It kind of had like a mixture of the Paper Mario aspect, but it also had like the traversal, like platforming of the regular Mario series. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1, and then it's like just controlling each brother individually, and it's like also having someone else to partner with besides just playing as Mario himself. It just like gave more possibilities of what you could do. And for Bowser's Inside Story specifically, it like controlling Bowser's body by like whacking his muscles or just like heating up his flame pouch to like give him some stronger abilities in the overworld, which is just Bowser running around in the Mushroom Kingdom. Like and then like the timing of just between Mario and Luigi dodging attacks and then also having like a counter attack if you time it correctly to just hit the enemy back. It was just a really cool new type of game to play in the Mario series. And then for the worst game that you could possibly play, for me specifically, it was between Sticker Star, which I'm pretty sure people already know, but also what I consider is the reboot of Paper Mario, which not Paper Mario, the reboot of Mario Party, which is Super Paper Mario, the first one for the Switch, which was just god awfully disappointing. It's just like it had like it had like everything Mario Party, but it had like none of the charm or intensity of playing a Mario Party game. It was just absolute bullshit.
Super Mario Party?
Yeah, Super Mario Party.
You said Super Paper Mario. I was confused for a second.
Oh, did I say it twice?
Yeah.
Oh shit! No, it's Super Mario Party. Like that shit was absolute fucking garbage. I bought it thinking that it was gonna be. It was like, oh, finally we get to get away from the nonsense of Mario Party 9 and 10. But it's like, nope. Here it is. Like now it's separate, but now it's just like it's barely a Mario Party. It was like, I won't get my money back for that ever. It was like, that's probably one of the worst Nintendo purchases I've ever made.
Yeah, I almost kind of agree with you. I didn't even think about that. I didn't like any of the Mario parties where you played in a car, and even the latest Mario Party. They had something good to start with, and they could have gone more with it, but they just didn't. So it didn't feel very fun. I'm still going back to play like any of the N64 Mario parties or Mario Party 5 on the GameCube if I'm going to play a Mario Party game.
Yeah, like everything before 5 is just like absurdly difficult to play, especially on the um, N64 where you just like have blisters on your hand from like rotating the analog
Yeah,
stick on your palm, and
Shy
then
Guy.
anything
Shit was
after
real.
8 is just like the Mario Party that everyone hates.
All right. How do you feel about the portrayal of characters in Mario games?
I really like
Um,
them. I like how they get creative sometimes because I mean, everyone has like strong character traits, and Peach didn't remain like a damsel in distress her entire life. They finally fleshed out Luigi in the GameCube era, made him, like he's cowardly, but he'll still do what he can to save his brother and stuff like that. Mario is always honestly, Mario's probably the most blank slate, but I mean, Mario is Mario. He's like he's a good guy. He's here to help out. He's the chill dude. Um, I always liked I like even the characterization of like Bowser and Bowser Jr., especially how they actually have like a father son relationship, and Bowser's like portrayed to be like a good dad despite him being a fucking evil turtle man. Um, I really liked let's see Rosalina is my favorite Mario character, but only because she's like so mysterious in a way. Like she wasn't a damsel in distress; she was just like this cool fucking space princess that hung out with the Lumas that just kind of helped you out after Bowser decided to go sci-fi. And what's funny is a fun fact about Rosalina. Number one, anyone who knows Rosalina knows she's really fucking tall. Um, that was she was specifically designed that way because I forget the director's name, but the guy who primarily does the Mario Kart series when they were doing Super Mario Galaxy, like, hey, we don't have enough heavyweights in Mario Kart, and specifically no female heavyweights, so make her like really tall, so I have an excuse to put her as a heavyweight in Mario Kart.
that's good.
So that was the entire reason Rosaline is like fucking really, really tall.
Wait,
Um,
that was during the development of Galaxy?
yes,
Oh my
because
god.
they
He's thinking
knew
ahead.
when they were deciding what they were going to do with Rosalina, like they had an idea, but the guy who's responsible for Mario Kart's like, hey, I need A, more heavyweights, and B, it would be nice to have a female heavyweight, so make her really tall, so I have an excuse to put her as a heavyweight. um Aside from that, I mean, hell, even like the regular enemies have charm to them. Not necessarily personalities per se, but like, Yoshi's just a good dude. He's just a little dinosaur man, wants to go on an adventure. Same thing with like you see the Koopa Troopas and the Goombas, not much to them, but even I mean, hell, even as little as like Jordan goes, a thwomp, the sound it makes, it's iconic. You know exactly how that's gonna go. So everyone has their own little, I don't want to say it's not Shakespeare. It's not fucking, it's not super in-depth character writing, but everyone does have like a personality that you can latch onto. They're all not just blank slates, like just doing whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I like how they approach characters in the RPG games, like Mario and Luigi. Like characters are kind of fun. Even like the villains in on Bowser's team have like the turtle that keeps screwing up in the castle. Like
Yeah.
there's just like funny stuff. How they just the writing for those is pretty like enjoyable. I know the Paper series is pretty funny with a lot of the things that they just kind of talk about. Um,
Oh well, even
and
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
no, I was just gonna say like Mario RPG with like Gino and Mallow. They're interesting, even though they own the game. And it's like there's a lot of charm to like the characters they have, and the way that they're like adaptable to anything. Like they have attitude, even though they don't really talk. A lot of the characters don't have like dialogue. I mean, I guess even Mario and Luigi do like the bobbity boopy thing when they talk to each other and the new Mario and Luigi, but like when you're playing strikers and you see them come out on the field and they kind of have their own little taunts and things that give them
Mhm.
personality. Like all the characters are very unique. They're not just like walking around deadpanning everybody.
Yeah, well, also it's funny when you have memes like the Luigi death stare, because that's
Yeah.
funny because we understand Luigi to be a coward and like totally not someone who would just throw a shell at Waluigi and look like he wants to wish death upon him.
It's just
Um,
sorry, that's different personality, not for the situation.
yeah. Um,
He's just
what
a
I was gonna
serious driver.
what I was gonna say is that even them taking characters that you would imagine most people would take in just like a one-dimensional direction, like Wario, like Wario's literally just means bad Mario, right? So it's like, but he's like, let's make him opposite of Mario. He's like, he's gross, he's loud, he's greedy. But they made his personality so strong that people did find him endearing to where they gave him his own, like, weirdo spin off, like, nonsensical platformer games. Obviously, WarioWare is a very popular game. I love WarioWare, but I mean, Wario in and of himself has a super strong personality that made him his
Yeah.
own character from spawning from nothing more than just like, oh yeah, he's Mario, but he's a dickhead.
I like playing Wario Land on Game Boy. That was a really fun game.
Yeah,
I think Pizza Tower is like highly inspired by those Wario games with the charging mechanic and stuff.
Pizza Tower.
Yeah, it's like a weird indie game. The art style is very reminiscent of like 90s cartoons, like Rocko's Modern Life or Ren and Stimpy kind of thing. It's just like,
Oh, I think you showed me.
yeah,
Yeah, it was like I was thinking it was like the Wario Land is like the Mario game equivalent, while WarioWare is like the Mario Party equivalent.
Yeah.
And to go back to like Paper Mario, I mean, I like Thousand Year Door the most, and that's the only Paper Mario I finished. I've played Sticker Star and I've played the normal Super Mario. God damn it, the normal normal Paper Mario. I take that back. I actually have finished Super Paper Mario as well, but I didn't like that one nearly as much. But I really like Goombella. I really like Hooktail. They just have like really strong personalities in those games. Again, those help flesh out Bowser as well as kind of being like just kind of a goofball. Essentially, he's kind of a fuck up sometimes. Same thing with Peach and stuff like that. But yeah, those are definitely like favorites of mine in terms of like Mario characters.
Yeah, in the Paper Mario and Mario Luigi series, you get to see the personality of everyone instead of just like the ones on the good side, because in those games you do have to interact with the good guys and the enemy equally, especially in like Thousand Year Door, where you're literally in Rogueport, which is just like the criminal land. So there's like a lot of enemies running around. There's like a lot of Goombas, a lot of Koopas, and things. So it's like you have to interact and like help them, like with their own problems. And then like I said before, the Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, like besides the Mario and Luigi inside Bowser's body, like helping him out, like for when you're playing as Bowser in the overworld, you do have to interact. You have to play as Bowser and interact with his entire army, and you get to see like how besides like all the fuck ups that Bowser has done over the years, they're still extremely loyal to him, and like praise him like an actual king. I was like, oh, that's very interesting. I thought they were just like mindless people with like nothing better to do or something like that.
I don't know nothing better to do. You want to genocide the Toad people? It's like, yeah, sure, fuck it.
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with everybody. I think it's just how Mario came together. Everything is so unique. They got just these crazy character designs that I enjoy a lot. I love the Bowser design. I love the Bowser Jr. It's just it's all cool. It's just how everything plays together. And you know, if everybody looking at it with like just a sane mind would never think of this kind of stuff. But it's cool how they brought it all together, and it stuck with me through my childhood to today. Everything is just, it's so cool to have it, and I'm not mad at them at all for what they had done to make these games the way they are, because they're very unique, and there are a lot of people remember for a long time. And again, that's why Nintendo made it a part of their front face for Nintendo.
Mario's the fucking, he's the icon. He's the mascot of the entire face of Nintendo.
Yeah, so there's a lot of heart and soul put into these when they do these things to try to make them as unique as possible from anyone else out there. So nothing but love for them. So which Mario game do you think has the best level design, and why?
As the best
You
level
cut out.
design or the best levels?
Best level design.
Between Mario World and Galaxy, honestly. Again, I like Sunshine, but Sunshine's like has almost the same problem as Super Mario 64. Sometimes not as much, whereas like you're hinted where to go for the shine sprite, but it's like the level's so big or like the instructions are too esoteric for you to like understand what the fuck you're supposed to be doing. I don't know. I guess you know what? I really like for a straightforward level design, I really like Super Mario 3D Land. I think that's like a cult classic for me specifically. Like, I don't think about that game a lot, but when I played through the entire thing and I beat it and I really, really liked it, especially like the post-game sections where they're like, all right, we're done fucking around. Here's some really hard levels. And those were like really, really fun to do.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Considering like most of the other 3D games, like well, being the most different, Mario Galaxy has like it's in like you're in a specific galaxy, but it's like broken into the parts, so each one can be very different. But in
Yeah.
Sunshine, it's like basically the same level. You just explore different parts of it with slight changes. But like in Mario 3D World, it's like it's the same thing as like the side scroller ones, where it's like each level is completely independent from the others. So it's like much more interesting to explore that one because it's just it has to be different because it's a completely different level.
I'm trying to think of like across the like just level design. I mean, Odyssey has really good level design because they have all the different mechanics to like kind of bounce around. Even though we were talking about innovation, I think Odyssey does a really good job of like designing their worlds around the enemies that you kind of come across to take over. Like, and I don't think I've ever been like visually lost because of just unusual placement of some stuff and like things being obscured by just camera placement. I think overall Odyssey has got some pretty powerful level design, especially since there is all those little silly things that you can do, but usually there's kind of like one big like challenge for that level that you have to do, and then there's another version of it that's just like a speed version. And they're really fun to navigate.
Yeah, mine is I possibly might just say is just Galaxy. I liked how it was just everything was put together on how you were going around. Everything was. It may have been like very simplistic on how everything was placed for the design on the actual planets, but they were very colorful. It kept me motivated. I kept playing it. I couldn't put it down because it matched what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for any complications. I wasn't looking at anything that was going to constantly keep me lost and I had to keep looking for where it was. I could literally just get to where I needed to go and just move on. And it was a constant thrill that I was always having because again, it was just the world was so pretty and I could just stay constantly motivated to keep going and not stopping. So that would be for me is Galaxy.
You know, it's funny. We've been talking about a lot about Galaxy this podcast, but it's funny. I never actually touched Mario Galaxy 2. I never played it. I've been meaning to, but I just because I don't actually ever hear a lot of people talk about the second one. I don't even think necessarily it's because of a bad reason, but when you think about Galaxy, for whatever reason, people seem to default to Galaxy 1 like all the time. I never hear anyone talk about Galaxy 2.
Yeah, I know all I know is like they added Yoshi and then he's just in a bunch of levels because he's just the new mechanic.
It's funny because I think they like wanted to add Yoshi in the first Galaxy and they just couldn't. They didn't think of a way to like implement him properly, and then that's why he became like the main mechanic. And also similar to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, second one doesn't have Rosalina for some weird fucking reason, and that makes me slightly more not motivated to play it.
Yeah, your queen's not in there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. The final question I'll have for today is going to be, what could Nintendo do to improve the Mario series in the future?
I would say involve the cast more. I would like to see like Mario goes on all these journeys, right? And it's just him and like Peach either writes him a letter or like in the case of Sunshine, I think they go on vacation, but Mario gets stuck having to clean all this shit up. And I would like to see like, almost the level challenges based on like going to talk to Peach and she has challenges, or talking to Luigi and he has challenges that kind of go off of a mechanic where you kind of team up with them. And then in a similar sense of like having Yoshi in the original Super Mario World, where you jump on him and like he changes the way that you play the game, is to kind of have the entire cast of this Mushroom Kingdom in like a giant, not open world Mario, but like how they kind of do these giant 3D worlds, is just like, oh, you're helping Peach in this part and you're helping Luigi in this part. And maybe it's like, I don't know, how, whatever the gimmick might be of putting like a giant stained glass window back together, and each one of them represents like one of the characters that got stuck in a part of it. And so this is like Luigi's mansion with you and him doing stuff. And because they have all these really cool characters, and those characters all have really cool games, but it would be nice to kind of incorporate them all together.
They have been doing that, quite frankly, for a little while now, because none of us brought it up yet, but like the latest I would say like the latest, not mainstream Mario, but like the latest big Mario platformer title was Super Mario Wonder. And I've been meaning to get around to play it, because quite frankly, I like the music in the game and how it's not a rhythm game, as Edwin was asking earlier, but it's like, the music has a big deal in it, and like in how things in the environment like reacts to you going through and stuff like that. And I like the idea of just like you hit a power up and everything starts getting wonky and weird, just weird shit like that. But between that, like hell, back in Mario 2, this was a thing, and then in Super Mario 3D World, you can play as multiple characters. Like back in Mario 2, granted that was the weird one where it was like actually a reskin of a different game, but regardless, that game set precedents to where like Peach can float, Luigi has like a much higher but floaty jump and stuff like that. And then in 3D World, you can play as some Toads, Luigi, Rosalina, Peach, and like I think in Wonder, you can play as Peach, Daisy, Toads, Nabbit, Luigi, Yoshi. Weirdly enough, you can't play as Rosalina, which again was like the big downside, but oh well. And I think that's also like a thing for a lot of the spin-off, like Party and the sports titles, in order to bring in everybody. Because also, even in Odyssey, you had Luigi there, and you could do the Luigi balloon thing. So like you went to him for stuff like that, kind of mirroring what you were just saying, going to him for like challenges and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like in recent memory, they have been doing that a lot more, and it has been working out. Maybe it's not necessarily mainstream Mario improve, but maybe even like do more spin-off games with people having their own kind of game. Because one of my more favorite games, I really like Wario World on the GameCube, and everyone likes Luigi's Mansion too. So like, what if we had a Bowser game? Because even Peach had her own. She had her own game on the DS, and she recently had another one on the Switch.
Yeah, and
so like,
my wife really liked that Peach game. Like, it was really cool too. It looks really good, and it has its own kind of fun mechanics.
And hell, one of my favorite spin-offs is like the Yoshi's Island games are really fun. I think the Yoshi games are really good. So like, let's have a Bowser game. Let's have a Rosalina game. Let's give the fucking memers what they want. Give Waluigi a game. Let's do some more. Let's do some more spin-offs with the different characters.
Not something that's not a freaking Tetris game. Like, I don't want to play a Tetris spin-off of a character. Like, give him an actual like.
Yeah, we're not gonna have. It's not a Yoshi's Cookie situation. We're gonna have like actual games that are spin-offs, because like Wario had established himself, like his games are platformers, but they're just like really fucking weird with like weird power-ups and interactions with the environment. And Peaches are the Wii one, Mario Land, Shake It, yeah. I never played that, but I heard good things about it.
Isn't that the game that Selena has, Corey?
I think I have it too. Let me go check my.
Well, when you ask like a bigger cast of characters, I didn't know that Wonder had that many characters, but like the one that I was thinking of was Mario 64 for the DS.
Where it's another good example. Yeah,
that you can play as, I believe, Yoshi, Luigi, and Waluigi, but it's like all in the same
Wario.
Oh,
Wario.
No,
yeah.
Wario, Shake It. I do have it on Wii.
What's cool about that game is that's all hand drawn 2D art, I think. But yeah, did you hear Edwin bringing up the remake for 64 on the DS and how you can play as the other characters in that game?
Oh yeah, I like the mini games. I used to play that when the DS had like I have a copy, no one else needs it. We can play on together, whatever ad hoc online thing was,
Mhm.
and everybody's chasing, like, playing tag or whatever. That was really fun.
But but again, answering what you wanted is that when they remade that, you can unlock Yoshi, Luigi, Wario, and stuff like that as like actual playable characters. So I think they've been doing that. I think I would just take it a step further and be like, I want actual like complete full spin-off games for the other characters rather than just more cameos. So
I mean, it would be really cool if they took the route of Donkey Kong 64, where you can change between all
Like,
the
swap
characters
between them.
Yeah, and then just like play like the specific parts of the level that only they can do because of their certain abilities.
that would be a way to do it. That would be actually interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board the same way. I would like to see a Bowser story, like actually going on through his side, and Bowser Jr. and stuff like that, be the villain for once, and maybe not, end up ruling everything, but like you're kind of like seeing their side of the story as to what they're doing and why they're doing it, and it kind of would make it more interesting rather than you're just always playing as the good guy. Could be a good change of pace.
Even if like you're not doing the evil acts, because even some of the RPGs, there's been cases where because they usually introduce a different villain for the RPG games that's not Bowser, and he'll basically pseudo team up with Mario because it's like, well, the only one who can kidnap Peach is me. This is bullshit. And so in my mind, how I'd imagine like a Bowser solo game, like some new villain comes along, he kidnaps Peach, he kidnaps Mario, Luigi, like everyone that could do anything about it. He's like the only one left alone, and he's like, well, this is bullshit. I can't let him steal my thunder. I got to get those guys back because I'm the only one allowed to be a dickhead to them. And then you would still be playing like the quote unquote hero, but then you play as Bowser, and it would probably, I wouldn't even like make it a super platform. I would almost make it like this is a weird, like, stay with me with this. Like, picture a 3D action game, kind of like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, but not fast, because you're playing as a big, heavy character, so it's a much more slower moves, but it's all about, like, maybe kind of like Yakuza a little bit, where you have, like, the beast mode, like, attacks where you're just, like, throwing people around and shit like that, something like that kind of combat system, maybe. Like, just something action-based like that, and, call that the Bowser spin-off.
That could be good. Hell yeah. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's jump into some trivia. So for question 1, in Super Mario Galaxy, what is the name of the comet that increases the difficulty of a level by adding unique challenges? Is it A, Stardust, B, Cosmic, C, Prankster, or D, Twilight?
Prankster comet.
Prankster sounds like the correct answer.
The answer was C, Prankster.
Hey.
Question number 2. In Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, what is the name of the hidden optional boss that is considered one of the toughest enemies in the game? Is it A, Culex, B, Jinx, C, Exor, or D, Smithy?
I think it's C.
Culex.
I'll go with C, because I actually still have not played 7-Star.
Wait, did you say Helix?
Culex.
Right,
A is Culex, B is Jinx, C is Exor, and D is Smithy.
Yeah, I'll say C, even though I think Edwin might be right.
The answer was A, Culex.
Yes.
Yeah.
You let me down.
The third
That boss is cool as hell. He's designed to look like a Final Fantasy enemy, because I think Square helped him with making this game. But yeah, he's tough.
Yeah, best part is you have to fight him twice for the full experience.
Yeah, because he's like pixel art or something, and then he goes into full 3D when you're in the remake.
Yeah.
Shit. All right, the third and final question. Which of the following Super Mario games introduced the concept of power moons as collectible items instead of traditional power stars? Is it A, Super Mario 3D World, B, Super Mario Odyssey, C, Super Mario Galaxy 2, or D, Super Mario Sunshine? What a complicated question.
I don't know if we actually answered this at all. Odyssey. It's Odyssey.
Yes, it's Odyssey, and they're also running out of heavenly bodies to use as pickups.
Yes, the answer was B, Super Mario Odyssey.
We need a third iteration of the star.
And now you collect black holes and you just pick it up and he's like, oh no! And he just like gets collapsed in on himself.
It's crushing me!
No, that's just his new power-up, is just throwing black
Singularity.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Right.
You suck on these.
It's a supernova star.
it's coming right for us. All right.
It burns so good.
All right, well, I guess we'll be wrapping it up today. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Twitter, YouTube, and our new brand new Rumble channel, so you never miss an episode. Give us those 5-star ratings if you like today's episode, and don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. And for all you gamers out there, just remember to keep exploring, keep playing, keep listening. Until next time, this is the Mediocre Rumble Brothers podcast signing off. Thanks for listening.
Hey, this is Corey, and thanks for checking out Mediocre Rumble Brothers. If you liked the video, please drop a like, and if you didn't, that's fine too. If you'd like us to talk about any specific games, drop a comment below, or feel free to discuss your experience with the games that we've mentioned in the episode. You can also listen to our episodes prior to YouTube on our Spotify. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.